Good morning, early game crew. We're back. All together. Jen and Preston been manning the fort.
Back like what?
Yeah.
Shout out to CB.
I will never think of the term "we're back" the same ever again. Or "I'm back." Or anything is back without thinking of CB's line.
Shout out to my guy.
That copy's got to be somewhere, right?
It's deep in the internet, but we can find it.
Somebody has to have a copy of that.
It's deep on the internet.
Oh, man. You think that'd be we could make that a drop and not get fined by the FCC?
If you know, you know.
It's one of those. It is one of those. And today we're going to give you a lot of good stuff from SEC Media Days and the worst of SEC Media Days. That's the theme. Best and worst of SEC Media Days. It's done. Everybody has filed out of Tampa now. Everybody is back in their respective towns, right? And now we can move forward to the season. But we can still have plenty of time to get into a lot of the nitty-gritty football stuff later on this summer. But we get to recap a week that was in Tampa. And I can't think of a better way to start than by doing it locally with our local winner, which I think easily, without a doubt, is Nick Harbor.
Yeah, absolutely. The absolute star of the media days. And I didn't hear many other players. Nothing really came across my radar nationally. So I feel like Nick stole the show.
He did. Yeah, at least, like locally. I think Shane played it pretty calm. He seemed loose, right? I don't think he was tight or anything like that. I think he gave, answers to the questions he was asked. And in the grand scheme of it, nothing really stuck out the way Pete Golding stuck out, which we'll get to that later this hour. We didn't get to it yesterday. The way Will Stein stuck out because of one answer he had that kind of went viral a little bit. I think Shane played it maybe a little more, I guess, down the middle, right? And played it pretty safe. And I don't know if it really enhanced expectations. I know he's not expecting the expectations to be pretty high. I've seen a couple people's ballots already, and I know what mine is. So far, based off the few that I've seen, I'm expecting South Carolina to be 8 or 9 in the SEC, which is still not low. You've been lower. You were lower in 2024 in terms of what expectations are, but nothing incredibly newsworthy. Things to talk about, sure, like the Jacarius Peak and Dylan Stewart injury recoveries, but other than that, I do think Shane kind of blended in this weekend.
Tried to just not make a fuss, not do anything that would garner attention. Maybe he's over it. Maybe he's done the media thing enough where he kind of understands how to play this. But it was an interesting strategy, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But Nick Harbor was the funniest, and I think the
funnest also.
Funniest. Yeah, Nick Harbor does have a really good personality.
He does,
and it helps also. He's a really fun player too. I think that also kind of plays into everything. He is in general a really fun player, and getting to hear him talk, I think him especially on Terry and Jay's show was the best part. And pulling up the number of the clip here, yes. Jen, can we cut 51 from the 22nd? Yes. There's so many cuts in so many days that you kind of really do have to dig to see it. But this is, to me, the quote of the entire week, right? Not only does it perfectly sum up what happened with South Carolina football in 2025, I think this is the highlight of my week, was sitting at the table, kind of just listening in, eavesdropping on the conversation, and hearing Nick describe the fourth quarters like this.
I'll say just the leadership and execution. Every game last year, we was leading going into the fourth quarter. We never finished. And, people can go back and they can see, okay, yes, South Carolina was leading a lot of them games. So we wasn't as bad as people thought. Like, we didn't get blown out. It wasn't like just a stinker. Like, we just lost games that we just had bad execution on, and we learned from that. Like, the team 2 years ago had great execution. We was down either going into the fourth quarter, or we was tied, and we just pulled away. The fourth quarter was our baby, and we was taking care of it. And then last year, the fourth quarter was our side check. We was running away from it. So it's just like
That might be the best description we have ever gotten, Jay Phillips, on this radio show.
Yeah, that may become a cut. I like that. Well done, young man.
Maybe a hot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, but it was just like, and then this year, we've learned from that. We watched so much film on last year, but we threw last year away.
Right.
Because this is a whole new team, a whole new coaching staff, in a so to speak, on the offensive side, a whole new offense. Like, it's just like, it's a whole lot of new. So, like, we're in our mindsets, why would we bring in 2025, 2024, 2025, and 2026 and bring that into this year? And I'm like, okay, that was that year. Whoever was in that team, they learned from that, and it was like, okay, now we just got to execute the fourth quarter, and we'll be good. Like, we had a team to compete for the playoffs. We just didn't execute. So now this year is just hard work, execution. We got 12 guaranteed opportunities to go play, and we just got to play them to the best of our abilities.
Now, one thing you're not going to get from coaches, because so much of SEC Media Days is, of course, talking about like the future and the season that's coming up, but also rehashing a lot of what happened in the previous year. I don't think you're going to get a coach that goes up on the podium in any of these respective media days across the country and have them describe the fourth quarter as being their side check.
No, that's probably not where their mind would go first. Maybe Bobby Petrino might.
Bobby Petrino probably could have actually used that, and then people would have been like, oh, he's serious. No, if anybody is an expert on that subject matter, it is Bobby Petrino.
He might have been able to get to that.
The fourth quarter was our side check, and we crashed it.
Ed Ogeron, he might be able to pull that.
It was our side check. Go Tigers. Except it wasn't as fun.
Rick Pitino, he can pull that.
Oh, Rick Pitino absolutely could. That side chick ain't walking through that door. You're on your own.
You know, it's really sad. There's quite the list that you could use for this.
These are just the documented ones, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point.
The more you get into this business, too, you hear other things about other coaches that you can't. Obviously, they're not verified in public, but it's like, I could see that.
These are just the documented ones.
I could absolutely see that. Yeah, there are a lot more undocumented ones than you may think. But also just a pretty interesting peek into the mindset of this football team, too. I think that's an avenue to go down in terms from a discussion point for this year is how do you absolutely learn from those close games?
Well, the fact is playing in the SEC, every game is going to be, there's a slim margin of errors. We know that, and that's the difference. And so when you talk about the idea of getting into the fourth quarter, we're going to assume most games going into the fourth quarter will be either one score or low double-digit type of margins. And the teams that are able to finish those games are the teams that ultimately obviously end up winning. But as I stated before, that's a huge gulf.
Massive.
The difference between you being 4-8 and 8-4 is not that wide on the point margin, but it is very difficult to execute that on a week-to-week basis. So we'll see if this team, with that experience from last year, is ready to move forward, as Nick said.
And I think they are. I think they're being part of being an older team is being a more mature team too. Mm-hmm. It does feel like there is some leadership, and I know when Peyton Williams was talking about leadership earlier this week too, he even mentioned Kelby Collins on the team too. He's a transfer, and if that's already making an impact on the team to the point where Peyton felt the need to kind of include him on the list of guys that are being a little more vocal, that does kind of give you some more feel of, Demetrius Knight type stuff, right? That was Demetrius Knight's role. He came in 1 year. He already established himself as a leader on that team, and I think it paid pretty good dividends. It also helped. He was a really, really good football player. But I think when it comes to learning from the mistakes in the fourth quarter, you've now found out, right? You have messed around and found out what it is like to lose in the fourth quarter if you are not on your game, and you know what the margin for error is because it is so slim. I think that experience is going to help out a lot. A lot of teams in college football go through this very same thing, right? Where if you get a lot of retention, some of the things that plague you at the end of games in the year before don't necessarily do it the year after unless you're Nebraska football, and then you do nothing but lose one-score games for like a 4-year stretch, and you get multiple coaches fired.
Right, and you keep having the same conversation. I wanted to also go to this. Jen, I want to get another clip from Nick here. This is going to be clip 50, where he talks about Brow's offense, where he talks about the new and improvements, because I do think that also is a huge part of them being able to change some of those one-score games.
Yeah, Coach Browse. I mean, he's just been a blessing to us. He's allowed us the opportunity to play free. And when I say play free, I mean he's giving us options in our own routes. Like you can have 3 options in one route depending on what you see, and that's just the beauty of that offense. Is it's high, it's fast, it's high octane. It's like a Ferrari. You know, you get in, you just go, and that's what we've learned, and that's what we took it in. But I mean, like the spring was so fun. Just to learn that and just to be able to play like that, that's some of the best ball I've ever played. Some of the best ball anybody has seen me play in Columbia, and I just can't wait for the fans to see it. I just can't wait for the fans just to see all of us working and just the hard work that we have did and put into this offense. You know, just from the whole receiver room, just competing with each other. And I just speak on my receiver room too. Is man, all right, we got a great group of guys, and it's like everybody just goes in there, they just work, and they just work. They make me better every single day.
Nick,
I do really love that part of it too. Not only does he love the offense, he describes it as being like a Ferrari. He describes it as being able to play more free. There's the element that we talked about yesterday of the option routes too, that I think just if you have a really good, mature football team, you're making reads a lot better, and then you're playing advantage football from a perspective of somebody that's actually on the field. Your coordinators can do a whole lot. They can call up plays. They have a whole lot of power. But sometimes you got to be able to make those decisions on the field. And if you have the freedom and the trust to be able to make those decisions and figure where your advantages are, that's going to be a plus for this offense. And if it's we tie it back to the one-score game thing or the close game discussion, you might be in fewer close games if you are putting up 400-plus yards of total offense. If you're scoring 34, 35 points a game and your defense plays the way we expect it, then you won't be in as many close games last year, and the bad luck won't be created the way it was kind of created last season.
Well, didn't he say something about, to me it meant something when he said, this is fun.
Yes.
Like we're having fun. So
said
if
spring was
they're
so
enjoying
fun.
it,
Yeah.
doesn't that help?
A lot. I mean, any work environment, if it's a little bit more fun, you're gonna work is work. You still got. I mean, I enjoy being here. I still have to get up at 4:15 in the morning. I don't love that, but I love being here in the office, right? I love doing this job. So yeah, anytime your work environment is still gonna be work or practice or whatever the case is, but when you can have genuine fun at it, the chances for you to be successful at it are way higher. We didn't hear any of that conversation in the spring. Again, all we heard was poop on the desk. That's the most fun we had last year.
Which
Mr.
was
Hankey.
actually indicative of performance.
Correct.
Who knew that whole Mike Shula poop on the desk thing would become some incredibly eerie foreshadowing for what would happen during the season?
But yes, Jen, I do think that is a wildly underrated aspect of a team where you can actually say that, hey, we're having fun doing this.
And it did, and like you can tell in his voice too. It's not somebody that's sitting there with a headset on, not making eye contact and doing the whole player motion of
Robotic.
going. Yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun this offseason. I had a ton of fun learning my third offense in 3 years. It was honestly, it's a blast. I really love having to start over with a clean slate and have to learn a completely different thing. No, like that soundbite that you just heard was significantly different than what I just rattled off there, right? You could tell. And as someone who was sitting at the table when he was doing that, he had a smile on his face. He was making eye contact with Terry. And when Jay was talking, he's looking at the laptop that you could see Jay on. And I mean, he was engaged. I could really tell he was genuinely having a lot of fun this offseason because I think he notices that this is an offense, especially with his skill set, his size, his speed, his newfound ability to be better at catching the football too and just playing the wide receiver position. This is going to help him as much as it is anybody else on this offensive unit. Like if I'm picking one player that's a non-quarterback on this team that this offense will be perfectly suited for, it's going to be Nick Harbor.
Yeah, you can hear that he anticipates that also.
And what really sounded like was that he was oozing confidence, and I love that. There was one coach this week that had my favorite quote on confidence, and it actually made me buy into him a little more than I previously did. I'll tell you who that is, and we'll play that coming up next here on the early game.
Press here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you, and they will take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home, looking to increase the value of your home, Absolute Glass can take care of that for you, too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Currently, no accidents to report, so we welcome that for Friday morning. And forecast-wise, chance for rain or thunderstorm off and on today. Increased chances more this afternoon. We did have some rain overnight, but we're looking for a high today of about 81. And then some morning rain tomorrow, maybe some morning showers on Sunday. So things not looking too bad. Not a washout each and every day, but just some rain chances. 82 today, 87 tomorrow, 90 on Sunday. Right now, though, it is 72.
It's the best and the worst of SEC Media Days in 2026, now that we've all returned. And now we'll get to the best from outside South Carolina. We gave Nick Harbor as our winner, our South Carolina winner of SEC Media Days. If you wanted to put, if we're doing the winner segment, normally brought to you by the Golden Spur, and we did it for the entire show, which is kind of like what we're doing, but we're also throwing losers in there too. One winner is confidence. I do love somebody, especially if you're a first-year head coach at a place that is not historically winning at the highest level, to be supremely confident. Now, I've always liked Will Stein. Ever since I became aware of him and like his acumen as a play caller, I thought he was fantastic at Oregon. Their offenses were fun to watch. They ran the ball a lot, but they also weren't afraid to chuck it downfield, and he's done a hell of a job developing quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel, I think, got significantly better from the time he was at Oklahoma to the time he got to Oregon, right? Dante Moore went from somebody who in his first year at UCLA kind of considered a bust in terms of how bad his freshman year was. He sits behind Dillon Gabriel for a year. He starts this past year, and if he would have entered the draft, he would have been a first-round pick. I think he would have been the guy more than likely if the Rams were going to take somebody in the first round that wasn't buddies with Les Snead, then they probably would have taken Dante Moore, right? And now Dante Moore is looked at as the number one quarterback in this upcoming NFL draft class. So he's got a really good track record. Well, Will Stein's now the head coach at Kentucky. And somebody asked him, and I think I might have even had the question included here on this cut, about what makes him think that he can win big at Kentucky. And here's what Will Stein had to say.
Why do you think you can win big here?
This is going to sound like really, I think because of me, to be honest. I think because of me. I think I know what it takes. I've seen it at the highest levels. I know what it takes to recruit at this level. And you just got to believe, man. You just got to put the ball down and play. There's not really else to be said. Is it going to happen overnight? I don't know. I really don't. If I had a crystal ball, everybody in this room would be really, really rich right now. I don't. And so the best determination of if what you're doing is working is putting the ball down and playing football. And so there's going to be bumps in the road. I mentioned it in the speech. Like, I'm prepared for tough moments and tough times. I've succumbed to that in our process, right? I already do self-talk myself about, all right, how can I stay neutral? When stuff's bad, I can stay as neutral as possible and be very diplomatic in my approach. So that's why. I mean, growing up a fan is great, is one thing, but I know the players that we can get here. I know we can recruit north, south, and east. People come to Lexington and love it. I mean, the longer I live there, the longer I'm like, wow, this place is incredible. It's got everything that you want. Great food, great nightlife, great community, great university. It's safe. You got Big Blue Nation. It takes some TLC, and you got to go attack. You can't sit back and wait. That's one thing I refuse to do at Kentucky is to wait. And so I'm really excited about our administration, the direction that it's going. Again, I said I was so fired up that Mitch brought me here. I'm also excited about what the future holds. And so that's why I'm excited. That's why I believe. Or else I wouldn't have taken the job. I would have stayed out of Oregon and coached Dante and stayed out there.
We're going to win. The reason I think we can win big here at Kentucky is because of me. Look at me. I'm the coach now.
Yeah,
I'm the head coach.
And that is the perfect way to state that, because that there's a grand term for this. Ready, kids? The word is efficacy.
Ooh,
efficacy is your belief in your ability to get a specific job done, right? So a lot of times they talk about this with teachers in education. Like, you as the teacher, you have to believe probably to a wild, almost unreasonable amount that you're the person that can move these kids from A to B. And it may be unreasonable as I look at this kid sniff glue over here, or this other kid pick his boogers over here, but I have to believe that it's me. I'm the one, and that's probably with any profession. You have to believe in yourself that you are the person that can move this result from A to B. And so, but a lot of times people don't want to.
People try to be too realistic.
Yeah, you don't want to say it. It might come off a certain way, but that's actually the only way anything works.
Yeah, I mean, nothing great has been done if you are not overly confident in yourself. Kurt Cignetti's draw is his, what he said at his opening press conference at Indiana has drawn maybe some parallels to a obviously I think Stein's is to a lesser degree, because somebody asked that a very similar question to Kurt Cignetti, and he said, "Because I win, Google me." Right? You could not have told that guy that he was going to Indiana to win 4 games a year. He wasn't going to believe that. If you'd have told Kurt Cignetti when he took the Indiana job, knowing what we know now, and said, "Hey, your best year might be 7-5. Congratulations on taking a Big Ten coaching job," he would have said, "That's not true. We can win a national championship in Indiana," and we would have laughed him out of the room, right? And guess what happened? College football playoff in year 1, they have 2 losses, both to the 2 teams that played in the national title game, and the next year they run the table, go undefeated, win the whole thing at Indiana. And you can't tell me it's just because Kurt Cignetti is some wizard, right? He is, to a degree. He's a really, really, really good football coach. But also he had irrational belief in himself that he was going to be the guy to get that place to do something they've never done. If you're Will Stein, you have to have, at a place like Kentucky, where you're not even the most popular sport on campus, you're the only SEC school where football is not the most popular sport on campus, you have to have that irrational belief that you can get it done. And I think I love that he even kind of elaborated a little bit more. Kurt Cignetti was more so, pretty short, sweet, to the point. Will Stein knows what it takes to win at this level, because at Oregon, they did win at a high level. Not the highest level. They got really close, but they won at a great level. They won a Big Ten title. They made it to a college football playoff semifinal. And it's because he knows what it takes to recruit. He watched Dan Lanning, who maybe is one of the 3 best recruiters in all of college football, go to work. And he was part of that operation. He had offenses that put up over 400-plus yards a game and was scoring 40 points a game because he was the one calling the plays after he helped construct the roster. You have to have that sort of belief. And I was sitting there in that ballroom kind of in a state of admiration over him taking that approach right there, because is it bold? Yeah. Is it going to make its rounds on Twitter? Absolutely. Or on Facebook and Instagram and all that? It absolutely will. Will it get, goofs like us to talk about it? 100%. But you have to have that. I think all coaches that do great things at places that aren't supposed to be great have that in them.
Yeah, and just think about, if there's anything you want from somebody, you want them to be confident in the job that they're doing. You want to go to the doctor and be like, "Doc, can you fix me?" Like,
like, I got all this stuff going on. It seems really complicated. You got this, right? He's like, "Shoot, I don't know." Dog, I'm tired.
you want the person that's helping you to be able to help you, because I feel like they've helped people before. I've seen this before. I know I can get this done.
Buddy, I've misdiagnosed 3 people this week. What makes you think you're special?
You don't want that, man. But specifically in the football realm, for Will Stein, high school coach, rose up the ranks, coordinator, position coach, has been highly successful at that level. I think the ability to see it done, be a part of those places that have done it. Also, probably maybe the ignorance of youth also, right? Which is something that all young people should put in your backpack and use, because you're young and stupid, and use that to your advantage. You don't know any different. I think that's what you would ultimately want from your head coaches, for them to feel like, yes, I am the person who can get this done.
If you just want to talk about the power of youth too, Paul Benary may be a little too realistic with himself when he got here, right? And once things got hard, he said, "There's no way we're going to be able to turn this around," because he's seen so much of that before. Will Stein don't know any better. He's young. He don't know any better, right? So when things go wrong early on at Kentucky, that's not going to discourage him, and I don't think you're going to see that type of checkout. But coming up next, though, we're continuing the theme of the winners of SEC Media Days, including one coach who I'm not sure is a good coach, but he's going to be a good interview. We'll tell you who next.
No accidents to report at this time, so we welcome that for sure. And as far as your forecast goes, yeah, not looking too bad today. I mean, yeah, there could be some rain. Chance for some light rain this morning. Did have some overnight. Maybe an increased chance of some scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. 82 for the high. A few morning showers possible tomorrow, 87. And some clouds and sun on Sunday with a high back up to 90. But right now at 72.
I have no idea if Pete Golding's going to be a really good head football coach at Ole Miss. Is it impressive to take over the head coaching role when your boss bails before the college football playoff and for you to make the college football playoff semifinal by beating Georgia in New Orleans on New Year's Day? Remarkably. But I don't know if that's going to be a long-term thing. But one thing I do know is that he is going to be infinitely entertaining, Preston Thorne. And before we even get into like the good stuff about the tampering, the thing that actually made the news, he had a couple things where I was like, we're going to be replaying this for a long time. I do love the team motto. He says he only has one rule. This will be cut 19 on that specific list there, Jen. He's got one rule at Ole Miss, and here's that rule.
Not only, obviously, y'all know they're really good players. I'm not going to talk to you about that. Y'all already know that. But, rule number one in our program is be a good dude. And that ain't too hard.
Be a good dude. That ain't too hard. Can you imagine walking into the team meeting and say, all right, guys, rule number one, be a good dude.
I feel you, Pete. We're going to need some bullet points. We're going to need some subheadings on that. I like the simplicity, but we're going to need just a little more guidance on that. Just a little bit more. We don't need a lot, just a couple more.
Maybe you need a little more than a good dude. But you know what? I like that. That's a great start. Also a great life philosophy. If you're going to be, and fellas, or you know what? And women too.
Be a good dude.
Dude is gender neutral.
Correct.
Rule, if you have any other rule in your life, and if you're not the most principled human being, if you can at least hold yourself accountable to being a good dude, then you've got a pretty good floor.
You'd be all right.
As a human being.
Good place to start.
So I appreciate that. And then, of course, throughout the course of some of his answers, he did drop this line here that is going to be perfect for our grill segment.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
Yeah, one more time, Jen.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
Wait, one more time?
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
And he had like this goofy grin on his face while he's saying it too. In this profession, you're going to get fired. Not fired. Fired.
Fired. Again, applicable across all jobs, right? Whatever your job is, there's a thing that you cannot do because it'll get fired.
Because in that profession, if you do it, you're going to get fired.
You working at the cash register at McDonald's and it comes up short, you're going to get fired.
You get fired. You're working at a 911 call center and you show up late to work, you're going to get fired. Fall asleep on the job, you're going to be fired.
You're like 15-year-old Preston working at the car wash and you use the wax instead of the soap on the car. You're going to get fired.
You're going to get fired. Please tell me that was.
Hold on. That's too specific.
I was getting ready to say. I was like, wait a minute. That is way too specific.
You're going to get fired.
Yeah, I could just Pete Golding pops up right before you start using that. Preston, if you're going to use that, you're going to get fired. That's the funny stuff, too. And then there's the duality of Pete Golding, right? Because the tampering accusations of him getting Luke Farrelly from Clemson after he initially transferred to Clemson from Cal, and the story of Dabo Swinney saying that Ole Miss is texting him while he's in class. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he transfers to Ole Miss. So there are some of those tampering accusations. There is a duality to Pete because you knew Pete was going to get asked about it. He knew he was going to get asked about it. The Ole Miss communications staff knew he was going to get asked about it. So when he was asked about it the first time, here is his response. We got 26, Jen.
Yeah, I don't get into feelings, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, we got a compliance department. They get paid to do their job. They do a really good job. So it's our responsibility to recruit really good players, right? Coach them extremely hard, get them ready to win football games. So we're going to continue to recruit really good players. That's both in the high school market and in the portal market. And we'll continue to do it how we've done it.
If you're the communications staff, what are you saying to him after? You're looking at him, you're going,
Good job, Pete.
hey, great. Just the way we rehearsed it. Just the way we rehearsed it. Well, 2 questions later, Dan Wolken asked him, how do you fix tampering in this sport then, Pete? And then Pete does this.
All right, let me put it to you this way, okay? Like it'd be, so obviously you're a reporter, right? Would you quit your job before interviewing for another job or being offered another job? No, nobody would. But we have a portal that you can go in with a do not contact. I'm gonna quit my job where I'm getting paid, and I'm gonna go in saying I need a new job, but nobody can call me to interview. Like, what have we created? So we've created it on top of representation for these players, right? That it's their responsibility to make sure they get paid really well and they also have opportunities. So by design, it's put a lot of people in bad positions. And let's not act like recruiting in college football for the last 100 years is the most moral thing, right, that's ever been existed. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? So I'm really not going to get into my feelings. I know how I've been educated to answer this question, right? Does that make sense? It's where we have a great compliance department, right, and all those type of things. But no, I mean, the model obviously has been broken, and I'm all for everybody being on the same playing field and doing the same things. I get it. But I think that's in any job, right? Like coaches, we're under contract. You don't think other ADs are calling us during the year? Same ones that are about all this stuff are the same ones calling coaches, right, to come to other schools, right, and everything. So it's everywhere. It's in every profession. So I'm not saying I've got all the answers. I'm not saying that at all, right? Does that make sense? So we go within the rules of the program, right, and how the flow, just like when you're on the interstate and people are flying by you, what do you start doing? You're damn right you're going to get hit. Right? Does that make sense? In this profession, you're going to get fired, right? So I'm not saying that, but I think there are a lot of people that are doing an unbelievable job, Greg being one, right, to make sure that, all right, everything's catching up. College football is constantly changing, all those type of things. So hopefully we'll all, decide on what's fair for everybody.
Oh, man. We can clap because that was entertaining. The Ole Miss compliance staff and the communications department's going, oh, my God. He even laid out the playbook. I can tell you what I'm supposed to say, which is the exact answer he gave just 2 questions before that. I guarantee you somebody in Ole Miss was wearing the nice suits, the little Ole Miss button that's, walking the players around, walking coach around, make sure he gets to all of his interviews that day, is sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me. We rehearsed this, and all it took was one follow-up just for you to completely give the playbook over as to what the plan was today.
All I can hear is this big train whistle, because you just
was
way off
remarkable.
the rails.
And he prefaced it by saying, I'm not going to get into my feelings, but here's my feelings.
But now I'm really going to get into my feelings. Okay, it's one of those things. I'm keeping a secret, and I'm like, hey Preston, I know something you don't know. You're like, you do, and I'm like, yeah, I can't tell you. You're like, okay. 3 minutes later, you go, Elijah, what is that secret that you have? Okay, fine. Okay, come here. Let me tell you. Right? I caved. That's all it took. It didn't take much at all. All he really could have said to Dan Wolken was, I don't know how we fix it. If I did, I'd make much more money than I have right now. And
I know it's broken.
Yeah, it's like, we have problems to fix, but I trust Greg Sankey to be the leader that we need in the Southeastern Conference to put us in the forefront of changing college sports. Bam. I didn't have to rehearse that, just off the cuff.
I want every onboarding HR professional to use this clip one more time. Jen, can I hear that one more time before we get out of here?
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
And just go down the list of things you can't do in whatever profession. And that can be, we can do the onboarding HR session in about 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And just name down 10 things that you can't do.
And you know what? Honestly, they're going to play that little drop that we just played when he got back to campus and sat down with the PR people. Okay, you doing another press conference like this?
You gonna get fired.
Yeah.
You get fired.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
Because if you're stupid, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that one's going to live on for a long time. We'll get to Steve on the phone lines. Coming up next, we'll also get to the all-melatonin team from SEC Media Days. 803-404-6100. That's the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Steve's been waiting patiently. We'll get out to Steve. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. How are you, brother?
Hello.
We're good. How are you?
Good, fine. I got three things. I'm going to do it real quick. I heard that Mississippi coach talking this a while ago, and he's like, you don't think AD is calling head coaches in the middle of the season trying to recruit them? No AD from another school going to call no coach that maybe go 3 seasons, 3-9, 4-8, 4. Only phone call you can get from the AD that you're working for, and you don't want that phone call because you might get fired. on the other hand, Shane Beamer, I'm behind him 100%. I hope that he coaches like he never coached before. Get it done this year so we keep on moving. Mm-hmm. And if Preston said that, I want Preston to really hear this, and you too. I'm going out on a limb. LSU, Lane Kiffin is going to repeat what Jimbo Fisher did at Texas A&M.
Ooh.
He's going to get the fans excited, but in the national championship game, they won't be invited. He's going to do the exact same thing that Texas A&M did, because Texas A&M had the best recruiting class probably in college history and couldn't get it done. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Lane's going to do the same thing at LSU.
Oh, I
hang up and listen to your thoughts.
Oh, I love Steve. All right. See, I love when somebody says so-and-so will be the next so-and-so, right? Making those type of predictions and comparisons. And if I want to try to draw conclusions on how somebody is confident or not confident in their team based on just how they handle the press conference, to me, if your opening statement is incredibly long, you don't want to answer questions, right? I don't know many people that want to talk nonstop in front of a room full of people for 20 minutes. Lane Kiffin only had 4 questions asked of him.
By design.
By design. His opening statement was over 19 minutes long. 19 minutes long. Mm-hmm. It's either he's not very confident or he does not want to just answer questions. And I think he knows what he's going to be asked. And I understand he's been asked of that all off season long. But you know what? You knew that was going to be the case when you took the job. I have a hard time believing when he was weighing whether should I stay or should I go, when he thought, if I do go to LSU, well, it's a lot of money. Ole Miss is willing to match it. Great opportunity, but people are going to be really cool with it. No, you knew no one was going to be cool with it. You knew that was going to be the case.
Yeah, we need to put a time limit, like a word limit on the essay. We don't anything past 10 minutes. We're good.
Yeah,
we're
fine.
This is time for question and answer. You don't need to get up there and filibuster your way through this time. That's exactly what he tried to do.
4 questions.
Right.
He got 4 questions in his 30 minutes that he was allotted to be up there on the podium. Real quick, before we get out of here, too, we only got about a minute, Scott. Welcome to the early game.
Guys, I'll just say this. Lane did a better job of avoiding those questions that obviously Pete couldn't handle it. The best part of that was, y'all kind of mentioned it, but, it's that same comment, with all due respect, somebody's about to get disrespected. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he could not handle that whatsoever. He got disrespected with that, and I hate to know what that compliance department did, because he might have got flown right on back to LSU to have some words.
Oh, man. No, that was...
Appreciate it, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely the most interesting part of Media Day. Lane Kiffin's opening statement, Pete Golding in general.
Again, it's decision fatigue, man. You can turn it down once, but that second time, I can't turn it down. I got to tell you what I feel.
I have to tell you.
I tried the first time.
I wish we had a simulcast of a camera that was on Keith Carter, the AD at Ole Miss, and whoever their head of communications is. I want to see their face as soon as he starts heel turning. As soon as he gets to the point where he said, I could tell you what I was coached to say, and then lays out what he was coached to say, which was everything that he said in 2 questions previously. If there's anybody that needed a 19-minute opening statement, Ole Miss probably wished they took that approach.
I know Steve Fink has retired from here, but I'm sure the group message that he's a part of maybe retired communications, Kerry Tharp maybe, they're all watching this like, come on,
popping. popping.
Have you seen this one?
Probably the most poppin' it's ever been, right? That would not make you go to sleep, is reading those text messages. But before we get out of here for this hour, too, I did want to throw in my all melatonin team, right? These are the speakers that put you to sleep. The ones this week where I was sitting there and I was going, I am having a hard time keeping my eyes open. There's not enough coffee out there for me to be able to sit through this. Number one, this is an all-timer. No particular order, just naming them off here. Number one, it's always going to be Clark Lee. Clark Lee's always going to be on this list, right?
It's not his thing.
Not his thing. Not his thing. Great football coach. And I love Clark Lee. And an incredibly nice guy. Just not an exciting speaker. 2, Kalen DeBoer. They could not have been more Kalen DeBoering. That was, and having to cut that up after the fact was painful. Number 3, the only new coach on this list, Alex Golish. Buddy, that was tough. That was a tough listen. We got 20 minutes in. I said, we can cut it now. I think we're all good. Hour number 2 coming up next, though. I'll reveal where I ranked teams for my preseason ballot next.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. The first time we used them, it was kind of a stressful time. We had a flood in the kitchen, had to completely gut it, and they were very helpful. We went through the design process with them to choose what was going to work best for us, and then got that photorealistic rendering of the finished kitchen before it was finished, which helped in a lot of other ways. But as we mentioned, we've also done bathroom cabinetry with them, and still a great experience. So there's so many ways and so many options they can you can take advantage of working with CHW Cabinetry. Kitchens, bathrooms, home office workspaces, outdoor kitchens, just updating a pantry, updating a closet, making your house a little bit more functional, a little more updated. I encourage you, just check out their website, chwcabinetry.com, or call them today at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington, passion from inspiration to installation. No accidents or significant slowdowns currently, and we'll keep an eye on the traffic conditions this morning. Might be a little standing water from some rain overnight and some scattered showers this morning. Chance for some light rain this morning, but then scattered thunderstorms this afternoon are possible. high of 82. Some morning showers maybe tomorrow morning, 87 for the high, clouds, and 90 for your Sunday. Currently, we're looking at 73.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We are giving you the best and worst of SEC Media Days, especially after I just gave the all melatonin team. You knew it wasn't going to be all of just the best. We will give you some of the bloopers from this week, too. And to the point where I could play Clark Lee, Kalen DeBoer, and Alex Golish for you, but this early in the morning, you're listening in your car, that's a public safety hazard, right? It would be against the best interest of everybody listening. It would also be morally incorrect to play that for you because you might doze off.
You know, and here's the thing. Like you said about Clark Lee, for sure. I mean, I actually really enjoy listening to Clark Lee because of the things that he's saying.
Subject matter's great.
But he just doesn't have a very compelling way to say it. It's very, very direct. Kind of, I mean, the way he coaches, it is who he is. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we need something from these other guys, just a little bit. You haven't proven yourself enough. Your first time can't be boring.
The worst one is probably Kalen DeBoer. You know why? Because when I'm sitting here in these press conferences, to make cutting it up easier, I will timestamp when a certain question was asked, and I'll write down what the question was. So it would be easier for me to label. And then I'll go back and listen to the answer, and I'd be like, oh, not only were you boring, you didn't answer that at all. At all. Now I feel like I just have to change the title of what this cut's going to be. Kalen DeBoer did not make my life easier. I was halfway through cutting that thing, and I was like, oh, my God, I still have like 5 more questions left. Can I kill this early? Yeah, that was Kalen DeBoer this past week at SEC Media Days. Not great. But at the end of the week, they send out an email to everybody that is participating on the media side to give your preseason ballot. So I will reveal mine right now. And Preston and I determined during the break, I'll read them from 16 up to 1. Who wants to take a wild guess as to who I have last in the SEC? If you've been listening to this show for the last few months, the minute this school hired this coach, I immediately knew I was not going to rank them very high at all.
Pig Suey.
That's right, calling the Hogs. John Daly walking around SEC Media Days yesterday did nothing to deter me from thinking that they're going to be buns.
Was he there yesterday?
He was, just walking around.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was just walking around. He was going to all the Arkansas stations doing radio hits.
All right.
So I saw John Daly in person for the first time. It was in the commercial break. Well, I think it might have been like in our 3rd hour. I'm sitting here and I'm going, wait a minute. It's John Daly just walked by our table.
I heard you say that.
Yeah, I was like, is that John Daly just walked by the table? Clearly, guy sticks out like a sore thumb. And this team's going to stick out like a sore thumb. They will be better than they were last year, but their record was 2-10 last year. Hard to get much worse than what it was for Arkansas. Number 15, Mississippi State. But they will be fun. I've got Camario Taylor fever. I don't know how much Camario Taylor can raise the entire group. I think they could be frisky. I have them at 15 just because I don't think they have a ton of depth, right? So they are going to be more – they're maybe the least injury-proof team maybe in this league. But I do like Camario Taylor. I like some of the weapons on that offense. Offensively, they can threaten people. I'm not convinced they're going to stop a ton of people either, and I think that's kind of the issue.
Well, which is why that game is the most important game of Shane's life.
Because
more so.
Because they have the ability to at least break open a couple of huge plays, and throughout the course of that game, you have no obligation to make that game close. Don't let it be close. Number 14, Vanderbilt. Now, I will say in the SEC this year, the teams that I have at 14 and 15 are better than the teams that were at 14 and 15 last year. I do like a lot of Vanderbilt's team. I like Cedric Alexander at running back. I think Junior Sherrill is one of the more underrated receivers in the SEC. And they've got a couple of pieces on defense that I like. Martel Height, I think, is a fun defensive back. You're starting a true freshman. Jared Curtis is incredibly talented. That's a tough ask in year one to follow that guy when the last football you have played, organized football you have played, is in the Tennessee the TSSAA private school division in Division I, which is the smallest group of private schools, right? They have Division I and II. II is for the big ones, like Marcel Reed, right? He played at Montgomery Bell Academy. That's those are the D1 factories, right? Pope John Paul, where Kenny Minchie played, they're in that same division. Some of the better players that have ever come out of Nashville came out of that Division II. Jared Curtis was at Nashville Christian, Division I. He might have played a D1 player on the other side of the line of scrimmage from him. It will be a big adjustment. Even if he's got the build and the talent and all that type of stuff, it is going to be a significant adjustment in year one. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust or anything. I think it'll be a struggle this year. Number 13, Kentucky. And I think I'm higher on Kentucky than most people. I've seen other people's ballots that they've just put out on Twitter or whatever so far, and Kentucky's either 15th or 16th. I do not feel that way. I'm a Will Stein truther. I am not a Stein denier. Number 12, Auburn. And I think what separates Auburn from Kentucky is Auburn does have Byron Brown. I think Byron Brown is really good. I don't know if carbon copying South Florida's offense from the American last year wins you in the SEC a lot in year one.
That's why I'm saying this is a grand experiment.
It is, yeah. There may be one of the 2 or 3 teams on this that are the hardest to project, right? Number 11, I have Missouri. Cheap thrills, hot action. They're going to score a lot of points. They will give up a lot of points.
Is that contingent on the running back being healthy or no?
I think even if Jamal Roberts is the starter, I think he's good enough to run that stretch, the outside zone offense. I think they'll still create explosives. They have a really good offensive line. I am a believer in Austin Simmons at the quarterback position, even if we haven't seen a ton from him in his career. I like the receivers. If we just played offense, that may be a top 5 offense in the SEC next year. But they don't have anybody coming back defensively that makes me feel confident that they will stop anybody. Number 10, I'll go Florida. I'll go a little higher on Florida than Missouri because I do think they have a better defensive unit, and I think their offense will be tough to stop because of how they run the ball, right? Jaden Ball is a great running back. They got a couple of good offensive linemen back. Aaron Philo is a running quarterback who ran Buster Faulkner's offense at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's offense was really tricky last year. The reason Brent Key loved to run the ball, not just because that's his identity, but because they had an offense that was really good at doing it, right? They had an offensive system that was conducive to running run plays that were hard to guard, right? Think a lot about what Vanderbilt did last year. Tim Beck's offense and Buster Faulkner's offense. Not too completely different between those two gentlemen, right? There's a lot of option. There's a lot of really tricky stuff there that's going to be more different than you see. I think that alone will make them a harder stop in year one than maybe some people may think. Number 9, South Carolina. That is where the Gamecocks come in. I love the defense. I think the offense will be a lot more improved than last year. I think this league is so good, though, that when I am comparing rosters, it's really hard for me to leapfrog them over a couple of the other teams that are in this league. Now, one thing that is a plus, there are only 4 teams ahead of you in this that you play. You don't have a lot of the schools that I'm about to read off that you actually have to face off against this season. Number 8, LSU. I think they're going to be the most polarizing team on this list.
Absolutely.
Some people will have LSU in the top 3. Some people might have them in the top 2 playing in Atlanta in the first week of December. Some people might have them at 10 or 11. And Phil Steele, not even really high on LSU if you just look at kind of his projection. But I think LSU will be the middle class part of the SEC because their offensive line isn't really good outside of Jordan Seaton. And they're going to need them to be because you have 2 running backs that are incredibly talented. You don't know what the quarterback is. The quarterback's not very good under pressure. I think he's going to experience more pressure than maybe he signed up for when he goes to LSU. The defense will be really good. I think that may be a little ahead of their offense in week 1. That game against Clemson, I think, might actually be really low scoring. But LSU at number 8. Number 7, Texas A&M.
Ooh.
I do love Marcel Reed. I don't love the receiver depth this year like I did last year. Reuben Owens is a really good running back, And if this was last year's Texas A&M offensive line, I think they would be a lot higher on this list. But they just lost too much in the trenches for me to consider them to be an SEC championship caliber team. I still think they'll be really good because they replace those guys with good younger players. And they have a good enough quarterback. They have a couple good receivers that are good enough for me to feel like they're going to be still top half of the SEC. But Mike Elko's teams win in the trenches, and they're going to take a step back in both offensive and defensive line. Number 6, one that I'm a lot higher on than I thought I would be, Tennessee.
Okay.
Doing more digging. Initially, because in the spring, I was not high on them at all. But they're about as well-rounded in the trenches as anybody in football. And if you do play a true freshman starting quarterback, I know what I said about Jared Curtis, and Faison Brandon's going to go through the same thing, but Faison Brandon's in an offense that is probably the easiest for a quarterback to hop in on day one and be able to succeed in. Josh Heupel mentioned during his press conference, he has had 7 different first-year starting quarterbacks out of the since he's been a head coach, even at UCF, right? He gave like a 9-year sample size. He said he's had 7 first-year quarterbacks in those 9 years. First year in his program, either in his program or as freshman. And in 9 years, he has had 7 top 10 offenses. It is almost experience proof. It's the closest thing to an experience proof offense that you're going to find. Now, how good Faison Brandon is can take them higher or lower, but he's got really good receivers. He's got a running back that ran for 1,400 yards last year in an offense that has nothing but light boxes because of how they space the field. And if he can just complete passes down the field and make simple reads, he'll be fine. Defensively, I think they're going to be really good up front. Their secondary will be very vulnerable, though. That's kind of the thing that can make or break them. Number 5, Alabama. Mostly because also a first-year starting quarterback, but what helps them out is defense. That may be the best defensive unit in the SEC. I can say with confidence, I think that's the best secondary in the SEC because they got all of those dudes back. They stopped the run really well. Yonze Pierre, I think, is maybe the most underrated pass rusher in the SEC. Offensively, if they can run the ball a little bit, they'll be better than 5. But the reason I have them at 5 and not much higher is I don't have any faith that they're going to be able to run the football with the effectiveness needed to be able to make that offense a top 5 offense in the league. Number 4, Ole Miss.
Now it gets interesting.
Do I think Pete Golding is the answer long term? Probably not. This is giving Matt Luke energy, right? But what Pete Golding has that Matt Luke doesn't have or didn't have is that this is a better all-around team. Yes, Matt Luke went 5-7 with DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown as his wide receivers, but Matt Luke didn't have the defense that Pete Golding's inheriting. And Pete Golding is the defensive coordinator at heart. That defense will be fine. Will Eccles is back. They lost some dudes to LSU, but they brought in a lot of really good players too. They've got Suntarine Perkins is back. That guy's been one of the better linebackers in the SEC for the last 2 years. That matters a lot. Offensively, Trinidad Chambliss is the best quarterback in this league. Kawan Lacey, if Ahmad Hardy does not play football this year, Kawan Lacey is the best running back in this league. The offensive line is incredibly experienced. I think they will only get better. I think that offense is going to be really good. That defense is going to be really solid, at least having a high floor. I actually ended up picking Ole Miss higher than I thought I would. Number 3, Oklahoma. Now, this is contingent on John Mateer not turning the ball over. Yippee! Woohoo! If he coaches that's coached out of him a little bit, I think they will run the ball better. Offensive line is a question mark, but I think they will run the ball better because they're returning 2 leading running backs, and they actually know the roles of those guys coming into the year. My thing that's going to help out John Mateer a lot is that his top 2 receivers, Isaiah Satania and Parker Livingstone, who they got from Texas, I think is maybe the most underrated 1 and 2 wide receiver combo. Both those guys incredibly talented, and their offensive scheme fits, right? They're both versatile receivers. They're not going to be throwing the ball down the sidelines a lot. It's going to be a lot of stuff in the middle of the field with moving pockets. I think those 2 fit that so well that I think the offense will be good enough for that defense, which really, to me, it's Oklahoma and Alabama as really the 2 most complete defensive units that we have in this league. Georgia may be right on the cusp of that, but Oklahoma is who I got at number 3. I think they are going to win a lot of low-scoring games. Mateer will just make enough plays. Number 2, Georgia. And that means number 1 will be Texas. Now, the big difference between Texas and Georgia, this is the last time, Steve Sarkisian, the last time. I didn't want to be wrong just early, but I think that Texas offense is the most complete in this league. They may not have the defensive depth that Georgia, Oklahoma, and Alabama have, but they have the better defensive player of all of them. Colin Simmons is a one-man offensive wrecker. I believe in Texas's offense, and Steve Sarkisian as a play caller that much that I think they will right the wrongs of last season. And I think they're going to be, they will be better off in terms of being ahead of schedule early. They were so behind schedule by the time the season started. When they picked it up, it was too late. They missed out on the playoff. But I will, for the second straight year, pick Texas to win, and that is my ballot.
Very solid. I have some interesting questions. We may come back to that a little bit later, but I do have some questions about it.
We'll come back to that later. We'll do it a little bit for the morning meeting, but we'll also do our ultimate mega SEC Media Days draft next.
Press here for the good folks at Integrated Media. Listen, we've been trying to tell you all year that you need to get ready, and football season is here. Talking season is over. We are about to start practice, and you need to get your outdoor setup ready. It would be perfect on a day or a night like today or last night because it was raining, but that would not have stopped you if you had your outdoor setup ready for the folks from Integrated Media. What does an outdoor setup look like? Samsung Terrace TVs, waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors so you can have all your devices playing at the same time and you don't have to worry about lagging, buffering, or any of that nonsense because the folks from Integrated Media will get you set up. From home theater setups, adjusting your thermostat, or monitoring your security systems from your cell phone, Integrated Media is who you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or reach them online at integratedmediainc.com.
looking good on the highways. No accidents to let you know about, and your forecast. Maybe some light rain off and on this morning. Some scattered thunderstorms are possible this afternoon. High of 82. Could see a couple morning showers tomorrow. 87 for the high. 90 on Sunday, where we kind of get out of the rain pattern, so they say. Right now, though, it's 73.
It's time for the early game morning meeting. Preston's going to give his thoughts on my ballot, and then we'll do one final draft where we will draft just the players that we selected this week for one super all-time, or not all-time, since 2000 SEC fantasy team.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Friday.
Let's go.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
And it absolutely will. It will be an awesome day. But before we get to the draft, Preston Thorne, your initial thoughts on the 16-team ballot.
All right, this middle class, 9, 10, 11. 8 LSU, 9 South Carolina, 10 Florida. That middle class right there. All right?
Uh-huh.
It's really interesting if you put them in that levels because I think each one of those schools would have a different perception of them being there. And so really quick, I want to ask you, if LSU is 8, is that a success?
No.
If South Carolina is 9, is that a success?
That one may be the most contextually required.
We'll move forward.
Answer. Yeah.
If Florida is 10, is that a success?
Building block.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was the because I just thought it was interesting that little class of schools right there. Now, the only immediate failure I see on here is Texas A&M at 7. Can you elaborate as to why you think that they're going to be down there?
Trenches. Mike Elko's teams are really good in the trenches. This one can be. Right? That's what makes us hard to project because you're trying to figure out what will happen, what won't happen. What I can tell you is they're a lot younger in the trenches, right? They're going to rely – that's one of the reasons why they brought Trovon Ball in, right, is because they need to get older there. They lost so much production on the offensive and defensive line. Do I think they're going to get somebody in that room who was just as good as Cassius Howell defensively to be off the edge? No. Are they going to have some of the guys they were replacing on the offensive line that are going to be as good as the guys that left? No. Are they even going to get a blocking tight end who is as great a blocking tight end as Nate Berkshire was to immediately be better than that? No. I don't think they upgraded anywhere on the line of scrimmage. It's such a big part of their identity that I don't think they will be able to run the ball as well. The running back room is really good, right? Reuben Owens is a good running back, and they recruited really well at that position. It might take a year for them to get to where Mike Elko's offensive lines traditionally have been.
So you're saying Mike Elko joins the rest of his Texas A&M forebears and goes 8-4?
Yes. His true rite of passage year at Texas A&M, which might mean starting off 8-0 and then going 8-4.
All right. That's last one. Alabama, they finished 5th. Success or not?
I think so.
Okay.
In a year that you
do they see it as a success?
They will never see it as a success.
Gotcha.
Nick Saban spoiled them forever.
Gotcha.
They are eternally spoiled. So I will never see them accepting 5th in the SEC. But given the context, because Nick Saban ain't walking through that door, and maybe one day they'll understand that 5th is still really good. In today's college football, if I'm a fan of your team and you're presenting me a team that has the 5th best roster in the SEC, I'll be happy with that. Because then you're in a position, right? All you ask is to be in a position. I think Alabama will threaten to be in the college football playoff even with a very young quarterback. By all accounts, Keelan Russell is is the real deal. It might take a year before he can get to his maximum potential, but he's got a team around him that will help him out a lot, especially if they find a way to be able to run the ball, or at least try to. They straight up quit last season. Now for our draft, I'll go through, we'll do it position by position because we're not in a pool of players. So we'll take our quarterbacks first. My quarterbacks I selected this week: Dak Prescott from Mississippi State, Eli Manning from Ole Miss, Cam Newton from Auburn, Kyler Murray from Oklahoma. Your quarterbacks this week, Preston: Vince Young from Texas, Johnny Manziel from A&M, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, Brad Smith from Arkansas. Which quarterback are you sticking with?
Johnny Football. Give him a chaperone, dry him out, make sure he has a 24-hour curfew. We're going to get that boy to play one game for us.
That's right. Champion of football as well as fireball, right? That's what you're trying to do here. As much as I love my other quarterbacks, I can't not take Cam Newton. I probably should have just written down Cam Newton because I wasn't going to pick anybody else.
Scam Newton.
That's Cam Newton, maybe the greatest individual season in the history of this sport. Running backs. My running backs I took this week: Tennessee's Arian Foster, Georgia's Todd Gurley, Alabama's Mark Ingram, and Arkansas's Darren McFadden. Preston has Oklahoma's Adrian Peterson, Auburn's Cadillac Williams, Alabama's Derrick Henry, and Mississippi State's Anthony Dixon. It's Anthony Dixon, right?
You said it last for a reason. Shout out to Anthony Dixon. But I'm going to go with AP. Yeah. That highlight of him running as a freshman is burned in my brain.
That's one of the greatest individual freshman seasons, not
crazy,
by Herschel Walker that I think anybody's ever seen at that position. I'll take Darren McFadden. Not only is he a great running back, the Wild Hog offense can live on.
Unfortunately, his best highlight, I think, is against South Carolina.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he did it 2 years in a row, actually, if I'm not mistaken, not to trigger anybody.
Well, if you do feel like you have suffered some PTSD from those memories, just remember, he did it to everybody.
That's true.
Everybody caught these hands.
That's true.
In 2006 and 2007. Wide receivers, I have Justin Jefferson from LSU, Texas A&M's Mike Evans, South Carolina's Alshon Jeffrey, and Missouri's Jeremy Maclin. I think this is maybe my toughest one that I have to make, but I will go, you know what, I'll keep it local. I'll go Alshon Jeffrey.
It's interesting you say that because I have the rights to your favorite player, and I was asking, would you like to make a trade, sir?
Oh, because you have Jamar Chase, Percy Harvin, Sidney Rice, and Lynn Bowden.
I have Sidney Rice. I'm going to pick him unless you would like him. Would you like him?
Who do you want?
I want Jamar Chase. I want Justin Jefferson.
So you want, but you only pick one to keep, though. Mm-hmm. But you just want to be able to have both of those guys.
I feel like the lunch table right now. We're trading stuff.
Exactly.
I want that Twinkie for your ham sandwich.
If you don't want Sidney Rice, it's cool. I'm just going to have...
I don't know if I can give up Justin Jefferson for him, though. That guy was really good.
All right. Well,
the guy was really good, but you made me think about it.
It's no problem.
You made me think about it.
I'll take Sidney Rice then.
I will say, it's funny that Jen mentioned the lunch table. Like my senior year in high school, I did conduct a trade for Sidney Rice in fantasy football and negotiated it at the lunch table.
Good place.
Wow. That's impressive.
He was a receiver for the Vikings at the time, and I was able to engineer him on my fantasy football team because I negotiated at the lunch table. Lastly, tight ends. I have Kentucky's Jacob Tamme, Vanderbilt's Eli Stowers, Florida's Kyle Pitts, and Texas's David Thomas. Preston has Tennessee's Jason Witten, Georgia's Brock Bowers, Ole Miss's Evan Ingram, and Arkansas's DJ Williams. You have a tougher decision than I did. I'm taking Kyle Pitts, and it's a no-brainer.
This is a very difficult decision. I initially wrote somebody, but I'm going to have to rely on it because I forgot that I had Brock Bowers. Give me Brock Bowers.
Yeah. You probably thought you wrote down Jason Witten because it's the largest man ever.
Correct.
But hard to choose against Brock Bowers. So now our ultimate teams. My quarterback is Cam Newton. Preston's is Johnny Manziel. My running back is Darren McFadden. Preston's is Adrian Peterson. Our wide receivers are both Gamecocks. Mine, Alshon Jeffrey. His, Sidney Rice. Our tight ends, mine, Kyle Pitts. And his is Brock Bowers. I would say pretty evenly loaded on both fronts there.
Solid squads.
See, and that is what we get to after a week. That was a week in the making. And we have some super squads. So who are yours? You can only have one school represented, 803-404-6100. But coming up next, we'll continue finding Preston his favorite NFL team for next year.
Oh, come on.
Oh, man, you're going to hear Jen reel off some weather reports, and it's going to be really hot. And sometimes golfing outdoors in those temperatures, not the most ideal. But golfing indoors at Pro Swing, you don't have to experience 95-plus degrees with that type of humidity because it's air-conditioned. And you get to play on any course you want. 300-plus options for those Golf Zone simulators. Pro Swing's got everything you need. They even have refreshments that are not far walk from where the bays are. It's maybe like 5 steps behind you. And also, you can get better at your golf game, too. It's maybe my favorite thing about Pro Swing. Just inherently, playing on those Golf Zone simulators, you get a video of your swing. You get all the analytics of how hard you hit the ball, how far you hit it, the angle that you hit it. But they also provide this summer free 30-minute swing evaluations. Meet with the David Ledbetter certified instructors for a one-on-one evaluation that will take your game to the next level. Find more information. Hit them up at ProSwingColumbia.com and visit them in the Forest Acres or Chapin locations.
Still looking pretty good on the highways, not reporting any accidents right now. And your forecast also not looking too bad. Maybe just some scattered showers this morning across the Midlands. That is a possibility. And the high overall, 82 today. Might see an afternoon thunderstorm pop up as well. Tomorrow, some showers in the morning, 87 for a high. And on Sunday, Looking for clouds and a high of 90. So we're going to get back into the 90s starting on Sunday. Right now, though, it's 73.
Today could be a separator in our matchmaking exercise with Preston Thorne finding a new favorite NFL team. And I'm doing it a little differently today. Most of these exercises involves tearing up, NFL teams into 8 groups of 4. Today, a little bit different because the question that I want to find for Preston, because I think this matters a lot, is what do you value in a head coach in their background, right? And it's usually just offense or defense. So instead of 8 groups of 4, today is just 2 groups. NFL head coaches with offensive backgrounds, NFL head coaches with defensive backgrounds. Which one does Preston want to cheer for? I think this one might have a little more weight attached to it and could be a legitimate separator. So we're going to get a lot more teams depending on which one he picks. I think you can imagine which side of the ball has more head coaches.
Yes. We don't need to talk about that structural bias within the system because somehow they don't think that people that run, tackle, hit, and cover are capable of being head coaches. They only think the people that can throw, run, and catch are the head coaches, but that's not what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, there are 32 teams in the National Football League, Preston Thorne. Guess how many are offensive-minded head coaches?
I'd say at least 2/3, maybe 20.
22.
Yeah.
I just counted 22. I just tallied it up. Wrote it all down. I split them into 2.
That feels about right.
22.
So give me those other 10.
So Preston's going to take the other 10. The teams in your category here, the Washington Commanders.
Dan Quinn.
The Tennessee Titans.
Robert Saleh.
As of this year. And I like the hire of Brian Dable as their OC. I think that's interesting. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Todd Bowles.
The Seattle Seahawks. The
Mike
McDonald.
Mike McDonald.
Not
Michael McDonald. Not the Doobie Brothers.
That's right. That's what a fool would believe.
That's what I believe.
It's like that. And that is me. And that is me. The New York Jets. Jets. Jets.
I was gonna say Aaron Burr. Wrong Aaron. Aaron Glenn. Okay.
Fun fact, Aaron Burr got shot more times than the New York Jets picked off a pass in the National Football League last year. That is a factually correct statement.
Never thought you'd hear that one.
Nope. And I never thought we would have an Aaron Burr duel reference here on this program. Until now. We make history every morning here. The New England Patriots.
All right. Braves.
The Miami Dolphins. Off the top of your head, do you know who the head coach of the Miami Dolphins is?
Hafley? Jeff Hafley?
Jeff Hafley, yes. Okay. A former Boston College head coach.
Yeah.
Turned Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Now turned Miami Dolphins head coach.
I would not be excited. Shout out to the Dolphin fans, but
yeah, my younger sister is a Dolphins fan, mostly because she just loves the logo and she loves the team name of the Dolphins, and she wanted a team to cheer for, so she's stuck with that forever. I remember her asking me, like, hey, I saw the Dolphins have a new head coach. Like, how should I feel about it? I'm like, not good.
Yeah.
I would not be very excited.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts, also on this list. Shane Steichen.
Okay. All right.
And the Houston Texans.
They haven't come up very much in this search.
Surprisingly,
I don't like that because I do like the squad, and it feels like a squad that I really would be all about.
And I do like DeMeco Ryans a lot.
DeMeco Ryans is very good.
And then lastly, the Baltimore Ravens.
With the new Mike Minter.
New head coach.
New head coach.
Jesse Minter. So now, in terms of the teams that you have selected here, Preston Thorne, that is the 3rd match with the Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
That is your 2nd match with the Miami Dolphins. I'm sure you feel great about that.
I love that.
It is your 3rd match with the Baltimore Ravens. It is your 4th match with the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
It is, let's see, Bears, Raiders, just going up the list here. Still no Packers. 2nd with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That Baker boy might be a disqualifier, though, for being honest with ourselves here.
Mm-hmm.
That is You're second with the Colts. You're second with the Commanders. You're second with the New York Jets. Got to be high on the list. And that is it. Yeah, Falcons. Yeah, those are all the multiple ones. It is your first match with the Titans, your first match with the Texans. So there are 2 first matches here, but still a pretty loaded field in terms of who you have 2s of.
I'm disappointed in that Texans because that's a team that really I would think fits my profile, but maybe I don't know what I like. I'm trusting the system.
We still have other tiers to get to throughout the summer, though, like run defense tier. We've already done strength of schedule. They'll be higher on the backup quarterback tier, right? Davis Mills, pretty reliable. We've already done blitz rate. We haven't done Gamecock alums yet, but I don't know if there's any Gamecock alum on that unit. Running back Yak Monsters, I don't think that's going to happen there too. We've already done competitive game tier. We haven't done 4th down aggressiveness. Maybe they fit your 4th down aggressiveness philosophy there a little bit better. We haven't done popularity yet, and I don't think they're be incredibly popular. So if that's something you're looking for, maybe they fit, right? So we still have a couple more here. Young quarterback tiers. If you want a younger quarterback, C.J. Stroud is still is going into year 4. I think, as the quarterback for the Houston Texans.
Is C.J. Stroud going to pass the David Carr test?
As of right now, he does not. Not for me. Based off of now his career so far, his rookie year, it was like, oh, that guy's a shoo-in to pass the Derek Carr test.
Derek Carr, yeah.
Really, you get down to it. You know, Derek Carr was David Carr with an offensive line, if we're being honest with ourselves. David Carr, his poor career ended early because his offensive line was so bad, and he got sacked 60 times his rookie year.
Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. I'm sure David could have been what Derek was. But the Derek Carr test when it comes to C.J. Stroud, immediately, I don't think so. Which means the Texans probably should roll the dice on a new quarterback eventually. So there it is. And if we want to recap right now, too, the Patriots with 4, you picking defense, Mike Vrabel, defensive guy, they are a legitimate contention for you to be your team next year.
They are. Again, aside from his off the field shenanigans this past offseason, I really do like Braves. I like him as a coach. I like the quarterback. I like a lot of the things that they have going for them. The only problem is even though they went to the Super Bowl, they don't feel like, I'm not saying it was a fluke, but they just don't feel as if they were that close last year.
I don't think hardly anybody is expecting them to go back. I think a lot of people are expecting a regression. The schedule's going to get harder, and that's by the way of the NFL. And they got a lot of breaks last year. Unfortunately, one of those breaks did occur in Bo Nix's ankle before they got to play New England in the AFC title game. I think that had a lot to do with what that result ended up being.
Also, unfortunately, Will Campbell has become a target on the internet.
He has.
And it's unfortunate.
Him and Jared Wilson got feasted on so bad in that Super Bowl that's going to be really hard to recover from.
Yeah.
But they're 2 rookies, right? And they're both SEC pedigree. They were both high picks for a reason. Maybe a year of a full off season where it's not going into the rookie year helps them a little bit. So maybe they can improve. I think they can.
I'm just saying the internet's on Will right now.
Oh.
They are on him.
They were already kind of on him because of his short arms. His arm measurements at the combine made for a lot of T-Rex jokes.
Yeah, they're not letting up.
Prime for T-Rex jokes. And until they advance to maybe winning a Super Bowl, or he doesn't just get picked on in a big game like the Super Bowl, then maybe he one day can escape that. But coming up next, though, a hire that I thought was the worst in the SEC. I've already been on it, but now Preston Thorne wants to call ISO.
Give me the ball. I'm open.
Preston Thorne posts up Ryan Silverfield next year on the early game. the singer is not the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe it is the same Mike McDonald. I would, if I was one of the, the singer of the Doobie Brothers, I would ultimately say, I'm getting into football coaching now. I want people to think of me differently.
Yeah.
I'm Mike now.
Oh, there you go.
So maybe. I have not seen Mike McDonald or Michael McDonald in the same room together, so I can't confirm if this is indeed the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks singing or not.
Could be. Very interesting, What a fool believes.
A fool would also believe that Shane Steichen was a defensive coach, and I was corrected on the Firehouse Subs text line. I'm just writing down names, and for some reason I confused Shane Steichen with somebody else, so you did not match the Indianapolis
My man's
Colts.
working on a little bit of sleep. But, Jen, that does give me this opportunity to say that song is number 3 on my top 5 Michael McDonald songs.
Number 3?
Number 3. Yeah, number
What's
3.
number 1 and 2?
Number 2 is the background vocals on Peg.
Yeah.
Background vocals on Peg. Number 1, Sweet Freedom.
Yes.
My number 1 song, Michael McDonald.
Okay.
From the Cool Runnings movie, isn't it?
I think it's Cool Runnings. It's the one with Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Sweet Freedom, number 1.
Yeah, that's a great one. Now, and if you really go back and start looking, he had been in a lot of different songs, like background vocals or.
I need to take a dive into that, too. I'm curious as to how many background vocals he's been a part of that I just don't pick up on from listening to some of those
It's
songs.
amazing, yeah. So I just had to throw in a little Michael McDonald before we mentioned it.
I'm glad you did.
It's good
'cause
stuff.
I love that song.
Me too.
I love that tune. And you know what? We got an Aaron Burr reference in this show. We just got Preston Thorne's top 3 Michael McDonald vocal performances.
Hey, listen, man. Only to be out lost about number 4, which is another background vocal. This is it.
Oh yeah, Kenny Loggins.
He's a Kenny Loggins. Yeah, he's on the backgrounds on that. Fire. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Outstanding.
Appreciate that. I've been wanting to get this list out for a long time.
Make no mistake where you are. We're in a show with plenty of aura here.
Yes.
And Ryan
Michael McDonald,
Silverfield,
plenty of aura.
Aura full.
Correct.
Right? Then there are coaches that are aura less.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if you told me Ryan Silverfield was auraless. I would say, well, yes, and the grass is also green, the sky is also blue.
See, this is the thing. You've been tough on Ryan, right? And I've been picking up on the sentiment, and I feel like I haven't been encouraging it enough. But now
it's become a bit.
Now I think the same way I have Eli Dorkowitz, I feel like you have Ryan.
I have my Ryan Silverfield.
I think you found your guy.
It was just such an underwhelming hire. I just thought he could have done so much more at Memphis.
As we stated, one of the few places where the G5 school we feel upgraded.
Yes. I think they got a better coach, and they're in a better position now than they were.
That's what we think. We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Yeah, but I had to call ISO on this one because Ryan, in his first media days, went through a lot of the conversation, went through the basics, and I didn't really know a lot about him until I started listening to him. And Jen, I'm gonna need to hear clip number 11, please, so we can hear about Ryan Silverfield. And I have several issues with this, and I'll go one by one as we listen. We'll listen to this.
I love it. I never thought coming here today, these last couple of days that people would talk about aura. First off, I don't know what the hell that means. Like I said all along, I don't. If it's about fashion and all that stuff, certainly have no aura. But if it's about having a presence about yourself, those that are around me know that at least I'm a genuine, real dude. And I think you talk to our players, they get a presence around me, they get it. And if aura means being cool, doing all those things, well, listen, I got a hot wife for a reason, right? I mean, I can get down, I can recite, Notorious B.I.G. lyrics, I can recite, whatever you want me to do, let's go. But I've got enough aura, enough to find ways to win football games, and that's all that matters.
All right, listen. Here's the problem, and I can speak directly to you, Ryan, because we are in the same bracket, so I need all of my elder millennials to come here. Just because you're a middle-aged person gives you no excuse to not know what's going on, right? If you've been listening to the early game, we told you last year what aura was.
And aura farming.
We know what aura farming is, and that's why we went through this. We might have to go back over it again. My favorite moment of last year was when the Stanford defensive tackle got a penalty for aura farming too much.
And it cost him the game.
Aura is a word that has been popping up in the American psyche for the last maybe year and a half or so. You need to know what that means. Furthermore, we're good with the hot wife thing, coaches. We got it. I mean, Muschamp said it as a quibble. Can our recruit? And everybody says the same thing over and over. It's like, all right, man, The joke is old. It's cool, man.
Get it. I hope you think your wife's hot. I hope so. Buddy, I hope you do.
Good for you, man. It's awesome. Cool. Third, I can recite lyrics from the Notorious B.I.G. Notorious B.I.G. died in 1997. You don't get credit for being cool by being able to recite lyrics from a song that's 13 years old. That's not cool. That's actually the epitome of uncool.
Well, he also called him by his government rap name, which is the Notorious B.I.G. Now, if he said, I can recite Biggie lyrics, Biggie Smalls lyrics.
The thing is, you're 45. You should be able to recite Biggie's lyrics. He sold 10 million records. Right? If he was alive at that moment, you should probably know a Biggie. That doesn't make you cool. That kind of makes you lame a little bit.
It made you cognizant.
Yeah, you were just alive.
You're just around. Everybody heard it.
Yeah. So you don't get credit for saying things that were cool 30 years ago. So, Ryan, in a special edition of a Friday, get on the line.
Also, the quote in there of, I certainly have no aura. We will be isolating, and that drop will be doing Wilt Chamberlain numbers during football season. I can promise you that. I can promise you that is going to happen. I can also promise you hour number 3 is coming up next, including Lane Kiffin's strange day yesterday.
It's a nice Friday morning thus far. No accidents to report at this time, and we welcome that for sure. Maybe a couple scattered showers still this morning in different areas that might be clearing out later this morning. Could see a scattered thunderstorm this afternoon. Our high today of just 82, 87 tomorrow. Could see some pop-up morning showers. By Sunday, some clouds and a high of 90, and we're back in the trend of being in the 90s next week. But right now, we are sitting at 73.
Hour number 3 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Northeast Columbia resident Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We are giving you the best and the worst of SEC Media Days. Now, Preston Thorne, if I told you at the beginning of the week we'd be doing Friday as a best and worst of SEC Media Days, which category would you have figured Lane Kiffin fell on?
I would have hoped he fell on the best side.
I was not enthused because he was playing Dean Smith's four-corner offense in that presser, and stalling. The reason that I am a firm believer that South Carolina's on the right track as a state and doing what every state should do, which is have your high school basketball have a shot clock, because I have seen way too many high school basketball games where somebody stands with a ball for about 5 minutes to melt clock. Don't like it. It's dumb. How about you play basketball? Face the music.
Yeah, I would like to propose a rule change for next media days where the coaches can only talk up to 10 minutes, where they have to have at least 20 minutes of Q&A, because you getting up there and just filibustering for 25 minutes so that you don't have to answer any tough questions, of which, oh, by the way, we have a lot of them, Lane. That was lame. I didn't like that.
That was lame, Kiffin.
Lame
right?
Kiffin, yep.
Now, in terms of what he actually did say, there was some interesting things there, right? There is some interesting stuff. I can't even remember which quote it would have been because his answers were so long to some, you can't remember which certain things were said. There was a quote where he did say, there are two people in my life I thought would never die, and that is my dad and Hulk Hogan. That was a quote. There were a lot of Hulk Hogan references. There was one point where he stops in the middle of that press conference and says, one thing I learned was we're all going to die, and then lets the dramatic pause go on for like 5 or 6 seconds to where everybody's kind of looking at each other like, okay, and then he continues going. It was awfully bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. Lane is a sociopath, right? Not a psychopath. I had to look up the difference when I was thinking about this. He's not a psychopath. He's not going to kill anyone.
No.
He just believes everything that he believes very highly in himself. And so when he's talking, I'm not talking about efficacy. I'm talking about the BS meter. It doesn't go off in his head.
Machiavellian meter.
Yeah, he really believes all this stuff. So it's not as if he's not being disingenuous, but he's just not wired to think about anybody else. And so when he's saying these things, I don't know, we now have the choice whether we want to believe Lane or not, but we have to accept that this is who he is.
This is exactly who he is at this point. Now, one thing that I did at least find interesting in terms of what the topic was is the Ole Miss diversity comments. And Michael Bratton asked the question, SEC Mike, and it at least forced Lane to address more of the Ole Miss stuff, because as whether or not he's tired of talking about it doesn't matter, right? That's something you probably should take into consideration before leaving a team in the college football playoff to go take a job with one of their rivals. Yeah, that's going to be controversial. Yeah, you should know, right? If you are half self-aware that you will be asked questions about that for beyond just this offseason. He'll be asked about that even more when that matchup comes up in the third week of the season. He's going to be asked about that his entire life after this. That is one of those decisions that you make that will follow you forever, no matter how successful you are at LSU or not. That doesn't even matter. The fact that it happened is going to be one of the main subjects on the Wikipedia page, right? There will be its own tab of leaving for LSU, leaving Ole Miss for LSU. That is the most infamous thing he has probably done in his career, and he's had a few infamous things happen to him in his career. Leaving Tennessee after 1 year, getting fired from his Southern Cal job on the tarmac after a loss, coaching the Raiders and being the youngest head coach in the history of the NFL, and being the head coach of the team that drafted Jamarcus Russell #1 overall.
Al Davis said he was a fraud. Al Davis.
And Al Davis having the most bizarre ownership press conference in the history of ownership press conferences, where he had a PowerPoint. No, it wasn't even a PowerPoint, because I don't know if Al Davis knew how to use PowerPoint. It was on an overhead projector with bullet points talking about how much of a fraud he thought Lane Kiffin was, right? This is the same Lane Kiffin whose playing career stopped because he quit in practice, and a call was made to his dad at Fresno State, and his dad convinced Coach Jeff Tedford to give him a job as an assistant wide receivers coach. That's how his playing career ended. There are a lot of bullet points in the life of Lane Kiffin that are going to be notable. This is probably the most notable.
Not to mention what he says he didn't say about Alshon Jeffrey, just to localize the story.
Oh, yeah, if we want to localize it, yeah. I believe Alshon Jeffrey, when Lane Kiffin, when he was the coach at Tennessee, told him that if he stayed at South Carolina, he'd be pumping gas for the rest of his life, even though we're about 20 years at that point removed from, at least 20 years, removed from the age of people pumping your gas for you.
We wasn't even doing that.
And haven't been for a long time. I can assume I wasn't living in South Carolina in the 80s or 90s or whatever it was they stopped. If someone can tell me the pinpoint precise time when they stopped, I'm more curious about finding that out. Someone knows, that's not me. But that's a big part of it. And Michael Bratton asked him about the comments that he made specifically to Vanity Fair. This will be cut 3, Jen. Here's Lane Kiffin responding to one of only the 4 questions he got yesterday.
I had a feeling that was going somewhere. You were doing like really positive stuff the whole way through. I'm like, man, this guy's good. It sounds like you should go work for Jimmy Sexton, man. You're like going a good direction there. I made a challenging decision and change. And I think as I look back to that, I thought I could find a way for everybody to understand. And now as I look back later on, that was never going to happen. And I made a decision that I changed jobs. And as I get older and I go through things, and losing both parents, I was actually talking to Ross Dellinger, and I kind of said something that might sound kind of funny to you, but I watched the Hulk Hogan special, and I realized, and I was like, we're all gonna die. And so some of the things that we put importance on, we worry about, and what this person says and that, like, really aren't going to matter. And when I lost my dad, I started thinking that, and I really started thinking, when I grew up, there were 2 people that I thought just wouldn't die. My dad and Hulk Hogan. And then I watched that special and realized, like, Hulk Hogan died too. Like, there's no way Hulk Hogan was ever going to not wrestle and die. And he did. And so it just made me reflect really on, like, I can't be so concerned about little things and what people say and this, and you got to make decisions, you got to go with them. And you do things, and you make really good decisions, and you make poor decisions. And that was a poor usage of a term that I believe, just like many coaches that have been there for, was factual, but over the course of a long interview was bad timing and bad usage of the word. So it is what it is. I apologize when I said it, and moving on.
Now, if you heard that answer, is there any way that you could predict what the question was?
No.
You would not know what the question was.
No.
We went from Hulk Hogan, RIP, to Monty.
We're all going to die.
We go to nihilistic Lane. We're all going to die.
Nothing matters, dude. We're all going to die one day anyway.
I mean, I don't know, man. He never answered. The question was about his comments about Ole Miss not having the same diversity as he felt that LSU had, which we talked about that here. I specifically said, hey, Lane, other coaches have said things while they were in the places of their institutions. You had ample opportunity to do whatever you did. You chose not to. That being said, one of the themes that kept coming up during Lane's press conference is that he just felt like this was a better place for him to get his national championship won at LSU. And it just runs counter to everything that the coaches talk about, blooming where you're planted, staying through the grind, getting it done here, all of that messaging. And this guy is just essentially saying, nah, I think it's going to be a little bit easier here, which is fine. You can make that choice, but I don't have to be okay with your choice. Mm-hmm. You can't make me be okay with that, especially me being, maybe somebody from Ole Miss or somebody who's devoted to that program, right, or a booster or whatever. You can make whatever choice you make, but you don't get to control the way I feel about that.
Right. Yeah, and that's why a little bit of foresight would tell him you're going to be asked these questions for the rest of your career. You know that. Even beyond your career. You'll retire one day, right? Or you'll get fired. And even after that happens, you're still going to receive questions about this. It is one of the more hard to comprehend decisions of any head coach when it comes to taking another job.
And he still can't, even though he says all that and, he puts a is what it is at the end of it so that we can move on.
That's the ultimate blanket. I got nothing else. It is what it is.
He still can't really understand why we have an issue with it. He's still kind of like, I just changed jobs. And it's like, yeah, man, in the middle of a historic run.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, the timing was terrible.
The worst possible time.
You deserted your team.
Yeah, he doesn't quite understand why we have an issue with it.
Because he's going to die.
Because one day we're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
I want to cut that up and use that, and just one day when we're in sad boy season, we'll just have that on cue to drop. We're all going to die. Maybe one of the most, funny out of context clips we got, that and Pete Golding saying, in this profession, you'll get fired. Mm-hmm. Single-handedly one of my favorites. But it was bizarre. And from a football sense, too, his team this year is talented enough. Let me go ahead and preface it with this. Talented enough to be playing in the college football playoff. Way too many questions for me in terms of, are you guaranteed to be a top 5 team in the league this year? I love what they have at running back. I don't love what they have outside of Jordan Seaton on the offensive line. I love 2024 Sam Leavitt. I don't like 2025 Sam Leavitt at all, right? There's too much of a duality there. I love some of the receivers you have, but if 2025 Sam Leavitt's the one who's playing for you and the offensive line's not any good, that's not going to matter. I think Trey'Dez Green is the best tight end in the SEC. That was the easiest preseason All-SEC selection I had at number 1 at that position. Not really going to matter if no one can give him the ball. Then he becomes a glorified right tackle at that point. Defensively, you have a really good core of linebackers. Inexperienced secondary, so maybe you can get thrown on easier if the pass rush doesn't get home. You have good pass rushers. I don't think you have any great pass rushers there. And the interior of the defensive line, still a little bit of a mystery. All of that, especially if you throw into the mix that you have maybe one of the hardest first months of any team in college football where you're playing Clemson at home, then you have Louisiana Tech, whatever. Going to Ole Miss and having to play in the bloodthirstiest stadium we will see in college football this year, and then having to play Texas A&M at home, again, a team that waxed you at home last year and a team that is fresh off of a season where they played in the college football playoff. If you lose those 3 games, if you go 1-3 in those 4 games, how is a team full of transfers going to completely buy in on the notion that we need to finish the season strong, even if we might have single-handedly taken ourselves out of the CFP picture by October?
That is the difficulty of creating a squad of mercenaries. Because once the ultimate goal is not in it for us, I'm not in it for you. When you're on a losing team, eventually you end up playing for each other. But if I don't know you and I don't really have that connection with you, that's maybe difficult. Lane has proven that he can handle rosters, and so we'll see. And that's the crux of Lane, because it's not as if he's not a excellent play caller, a proven coach. But what he doesn't understand is that when you listed off all of his infamous dealings, you said Southern Cal, Tennessee, the Raiders.
The origins of his coaching career.
Like he's had all of these golden opportunities to become who he is, which is an excellent play caller and a good coach. But he doesn't understand that he's been afforded some things that other people would never have been afforded.
Oh, he's gotten leeway that other people just won't get, right? And that's why this team, I think, is going to be the most fascinating in the Southeastern Conference this year.
And we don't know how tough Lane is. Right. In that same situation. We don't know if Lane's not going to fold up.
At a 1-3 start, because 1-3 for them at the end of September is a real possibility. Is it the likeliest outcome? No, I think maybe 3-1 or 2-2 are probably the likeliest outcomes there, right? But there is a possibility. They start off the season 1-3. And in a place that was so ready to get Brian Kelly out of town, rightfully so, and paid a lot of money for him to do so, rightfully so, how happy are they going to be with him, and how happy is he going to be having to deal with transfers that might quit on him if he does not have a good culture in place? It's fascinating. Coming up next, though, Pete Golding, maybe the biggest winner of SEC Media Days. We'll tell you why next. You know, I just got done talking about Lane Kiffin having a 19-minute opening statement. You know, there's some people in your life, too, that will talk that way, and it feels like just a one-sided conversation. No one wants to be in that situation, especially if you're having issues and you need assistance, right? And with John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm, if you're experiencing business or personal income tax issues, you need somebody that's going to be able to ask you questions and be able to help get to the bottom of what your issues are and to be able to fix those and get you one step closer to a worry-free life. And with John and his team at the Ecton Law Firm, that situation starts with dialing up 803-771-9800 and getting that free consultation. Yes, they will listen to you. They will tell you the next steps moving forward, but it is a collaborative effort to get you out of one of life's hardest predicaments, right? 803-771-9800. Let them help you out the same way they've helped out thousands of families and businesses just like yours. Escape that IRS maze. Also hit them up online at ectonlawfirm.com.
No accidents to report, and just a little light rain across the Midlands that we will report right now. The high today will be 82. Again, we'll see this scattered light rain this morning, and then maybe some scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Tomorrow, looking for maybe some morning showers, a high of 87, and should be clearing out of here for the most part. Maybe just something that might pop up on Sunday, but overall just cloudy on Sunday with a high of 90 and back into the 90s for our daytime highs. Right now, 73.
Well, in the Ole Miss LSU saga, which will continue in September when they actually face off on a football field, we went through some of what Lane Kiffin had to say, but the new guy in town in Oxford, I'll say new-ish, he was their defensive coordinator. He's now the new head coach, not the interim tag. Infinitely more exciting, I would say, Preston Thorne. Or funny. I would say funny. He's humorful.
Full of life.
Full of life. And not full of a filter, right? I would say Pete Golding and John Summerall were the two press conferences that our team here at 107.5 The Game had to do the most work in editing to make sure that we could play those clips without receiving FCC fines. The filter maybe not there as much, but the sentiment absolutely is. But first off, there were a couple things in Pete Golding's press conference that I think, interesting life lessons, including team rule at Ole Miss #1. This we cut 19 on that list there, Jen. This is Ole Miss's #1 rule under Pete Golding's tenure.
Not only, obviously, y'all know they're really good players. I'm not going to talk to you about that. Y'all already know that. But, rule #1 in our program is be a good dude. And that ain't too hard.
That ain't too hard. Be a good dude. Life lesson 2. Dude, gender neutral. Be a good dude.
I would just make a slight addendum, and we just need a couple of points of what makes a good dude. I just need like 2 or 3, just give me a couple.
Just elaborate.
Just a little. You don't need too many. Just a couple of points. But I get it.
And even those could be broad, too.
It can be broad.
Yeah.
It can be broad.
That ain't too hard to do.
There's some bullet points we laid, maybe 10 of them out. we laid some out.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of our head, we can give 10.
Those are good places to start.
I also just came to the realization right now here at 8:23 on Friday morning, July 24th, 2026, Pete Golding kind of sounds like a more southeastern version of Matthew McConaughey.
Ooh, okay.
Especially when he tells you the one main truth of coaching. The one thing that is true for almost all coaches in this profession is this.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
There's a little Matthew McConaughey there, right?
One more time, Jen.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
Get fired.
You're going to get fired.
Now, if you talk to any coach, they know they'll say either you are getting fired or you're on the way to being fired. That's what it is. It's part of the profession.
What's the saying?
Understand this.
You get hired to get fired?
Correct. Everybody gets that. It just depends on how long you hold your seat. But yeah, he was definitely laying out some reasons as to why in that profession you will be dismissed.
And then there's the duality of Pete Golding, too, because I can tell at the early part of the press conference, there is what he was trained to say when the tampering accusations were going to get brought up. And this will be cut 26, Jen. Here's him actually following along with the script that Ole Miss told him you should probably stick to when asked about this.
Yeah, I don't get into feelings, to be honest with you. We got a compliance department. They get paid to do their job. They do a really good job. So it's our responsibility to recruit really good players, right? Coach them extremely hard, get them ready to win football games. So we're going to continue to recruit really good players. That's both in the high school market and in the portal market. And we'll continue to do it how we've done it.
And just like that, athletic director Keith Carter breathed a sigh of relief. The communications director, whoever he or she is, breathed a sigh of relief and said, all right, he took to coaching, right? We're going to be good. We're going to avoid any type of controversy today. Today will be an awesome day.
Because it's important to note that Pete is a defensive coordinator.
Yes.
At heart. He's not a head coach. And so coordinators often tend to have less of a filter, less cares. The microphone's not in front of their face. Most defensive coordinators are not like Clayton White.
No.
Clayton is very polished. Clayton is head coach style.
Yeah.
Communications.
He's got the key. Yeah.
He's straight out of comms 101. He's got it.
Yes.
Right? But most DCs, little flicked. They got a little something going on.
Yeah. There's a little something going on there. And we find that out because 2 questions later, Dan Wolken asked a follow-up about how do we avoid tampering in this sport, and then we lost containment.
All right, let me put it to you this way, okay? Like it'd be, so obviously you're a reporter, right? Would you quit your job before interviewing for another job or being offered another job? No, nobody would. But we have a portal that you can go in with a do not contact. I'm gonna quit my job where I'm getting paid, and I'm gonna go in saying I need a new job, but nobody can call me to interview. Like, what have we created? So we've created it on top of representation for these players, right? That it's their responsibility to make sure they get paid really well and they also have opportunities. So by design, it's put a lot of people in bad positions. And let's not act like recruiting in college football for the last 100 years is the most moral thing, right, that's ever been existed. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? So I'm really not going to get into my feelings. And I know how I've been educated to answer this question, right? Does that make sense? It's where we have a great compliance department, right, and all those type of things. But no, I mean, the model obviously has been broken, and I'm all for everybody being on the same playing field and doing the same things. I get it. But I think that's in any job, right? Like coaches, we're under contract. You don't think other ADs are calling us during the year? Same ones that are about all this stuff are the same ones calling coaches, right, to come to other schools, right, and everything. So it's everywhere. It's in every profession. So I'm not saying I've got all the answers. I'm not saying that at all, right? Does that make sense? So we go within the rules of the program, right, and how the flow, just like when you're on the interstate and people are flying by you, what do you start doing? You're damn right, you're going to get hit. Right? Does that make sense? In this profession, you're going to get fired, right? So I'm not saying that, but I think there are a lot of people that are doing an unbelievable job, Greg being one, right, to make sure that, all right, everything's catching up. College football is constantly changing, all those type of things. So hopefully we'll all, decide on what's fair for everybody.
There's a movie, Fools Rush In, with Matthew Perry and Selma Hayek, and the in-laws meet for the first time on a boat. It's really hot out. Some words are exchanged, and Mom's got a big glass of margarita glass, and she's just shaking her head back and forth, and she's bottoming up, just like, and that was the vision I had of the PR department. Like, oh no, what's he doing? Oh, yeah.
You hear that?
It was quite the visual.
The PR director's doing that, and then what you hear in the distance right there is Keith Carter's head banging against the wall. Because this is all unfolding in front of his eyes, and he cannot stop it. I'm not going to get into my feelings, but I'm going to get into exactly how I feel about this discourse right here. Yeah. He was doing so good, and all it took was Dan Wolken asking one follow-up.
He said, I know what I'm supposed to say here.
But I'm not going to say it.
I'm going to do it anyway.
It's kind of like a puppy. They're looking at you. I know what I'm supposed to do.
I want to pee in the house, and I'm not going to break eye contact with you the entire time.
Exactly.
I would assume position, knowing what's coming next.
Yep.
And I will lock eyes with you and be like, hey, sorry, what are you going to do about it?
I'm going to defy you.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it, pal? It's happening anyway. Pete Golding, infinitely more entertaining.
Thank you, Pete. We appreciate you bringing some life to the SEC Media Days. Appreciate
Ultimate winner. If we're doing the best of, I think that was our best of.
Thank you.
From the entire week. So congrats, Pete Golding. I don't know if you're going to have this job in 3 years, but you know what? I will remember that press conference for the rest of my life.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Pete. Big winner. At least he won that. Coming up next, though, we'll give away some tickets, and I'll tell you who I voted for my predicted order of finish. I'll reveal my ballot next. Now, if I told you somebody is good enough for the University of South Carolina to use, that local high schools use, nonprofits and businesses all across the Midlands, you would probably think it's a pretty trustworthy source of whatever it is I'm about to tell you about. Well, that is how I just described School Cuts and Minuteman Press, right? School Cuts and Minuteman Press work with local high schools around the area. They work with the University of South Carolina, and they're trusted by nonprofits to be able to do the apparel making, printing, everything you need. So when it comes to School Cuts, for 30-plus years, they've specialized in quality screen printing and embroidery for all types of uniforms, spirit wear, custom apparel. I've been by the School Cuts building. I've seen all the cool shirts, the jackets, the hats, everything made perfect for your vision. And then at Minuteman Press, too, they've been making signs, yard signs, posters, promotional products, anything you could possibly make, and they're both in the same family now. So whether you go to 1415 Gervais Street, Columbia, 518 West Street, West Columbia, you can take advantage of that at School Cuts and Minuteman Press.
Been a pretty solid morning today. No accidents, so that's pretty darn impressive. Well done this morning. We're looking for a high today of about 82 now. We do have a few showers in different spots across the Midlands this morning that could continue. Might see some thunderstorms this afternoon. Just everything's going to be a little spotty. Tomorrow, 87, possibly some morning showers. And on Sunday, cloudy conditions and a high of 90. There is a chance for maybe just a pop-up shower or storm on Sunday, but certainly not a washout. Currently, though, it is 74.
Ticket Fairy came by. Different than the Tooth Fairy. I think we established yesterday the Tooth Fairy may or may not account for inflation. Operates on an unseen market here.
Oh, no.
Oh, are you telling me we've broken contain on that one too?
This already happened?
They be talking in summer camp.
Oh, you're kidding.
I heard a number that I don't like. I'm with the college coaches now. I don't like that.
Oh no.
Did you tell the Tooth Fairy that there's been some, oh my God. I just saw the hand signal you gave to Jen Jensen. Of course, this is I'm sure all the Tooth Fairy and all of their clients across the great state of South Carolina doesn't need this getting out either, because you just gave a hand signal where I am appalled.
We need collusion amongst Tooth Fairies. Collusion. We got to collude to get these numbers down. I don't know who's running up this number, but you Tooth Fairies out there, you are not playing the same game.
Somebody's ruining it. Some Tooth Fairy is ruining it for the rest of them.
Is there a transfer portal for Tooth Fairies that you can go find one that's a better fit for your team?
I don't know, but I tell you what.
Based off the price of some of these services, I know where they're going to be going.
Tell you what we're not going to do over here.
Oh, man. Well, let me just say that for one birthday years ago, I might have had a practical joker uncle. Lots of stories. But for one birthday, he stood in front of me and tore a particular bill in half and said, "You'll get the other half next year." So
I would have died.
That might be the game you play. Just, or your Tooth Fairy might have to play that game.
Like it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have a Tooth Fairy conference, probably where the SEC does their spring meetings in Destin.
Collusion is the answer.
And we're going to have to collude right there.
Wow.
But the Ticket Fairy is a little different, right?
Yes,
The Ticket Fairy just comes by here. I have not seen the Ticket Fairy, not often, but I
have seen the Ticket Fairy before. Very bright colors. Wears very bright colors.
See, that's one of those things. I will say I've never seen the Ticket Fairy and Josh Yellman in the same room at the same time.
There you go.
But we have some today to give away 2 family 4-packs of tickets to tonight's Fireflies game. Just be the first 2 callers, 803-404-6100. Jen's not the Ticket Fairy, but if you do hear Jen's voice, that means you are a winner and you will receive those tickets. And then you get to take the family out to a baseball game tonight over at Segra Park. Don't even know who they're playing. Don't care. It's going to be fun anyway. Be a fun night. But that's fun. We can now go to something that I had fun with, and it's my favorite thing to do every SEC Media Days, is I like to vote on stuff, right? This is what the First Amendment's all about, voting. And I'm sure when they signed the Constitution was written. Part of the First Amendment was people can vote on their SEC predictions, and that's part of it. And I exercised that this week. So I gave my ballot, and in the second hour of the show, I reeled off, the list, and I'll get to the list, but I will go ahead and go through the list of South Carolina players that I did vote for all SEC selections. I did take Lenora Sellers third. I think he will be the 3rd best quarterback in the league this year. Trinidad Chambliss 1, Arch Manning 2, Lenora Sellers 3.
Let me stop you right there really quickly. If that is the case, that is a successful season.
Then you will.
That means things went pretty well.
Yeah. And okay. I think it will. I think it will be a dramatic change. I know what I saw in 2024, and I know what 2025 is not Lenora Sellers.
Right,
I think perfect match there between coordinator and quarterback. Wide receiver, I did take Nick Harbor. So Nick Harbor is on that wide receiver list. And when it comes to, let's see, the email they send you to recap your picks is a jumbled mess. When it comes to all-purpose, well, Vicari Swain wasn't involved there because it's like an offensive all-purpose, but I did vote Vicari Swain as return specialist number 1, so he got first-place votes for that. Dylan Stewart got a vote, my number 1 vote for defensive line. In the middle there, I did vote for Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy because you have to vote for like 8 different defensive linemen. I think Gabriel Brown-Ladindi is one of the better run stoppers in the Southeastern Conference. When it comes to defensive backs, this is where I was the most South Carolina heavy. I think that is, in terms of high-end talent, one of the strengths of this team. Vakari Swain made that list. Judge Collier and Peyton Williams I gave all SEC nods to. So those are my South Carolina players.
And when will we get the results of this?
It will be today around midday is what they said. So around midday is when the votes will be tallied. The deadline to submit those votes was yesterday at about 5 o'clock. I was early. I did mine Wednesday. Did a lot of work before this beforehand because I did rush last year and it was not a lot of fun. But for my predicted order of finish, we'll go from last to first. 16, Arkansas. We'll be calling ISOs on them all season long. Orioles, Arkansas. 15, Mississippi State. 14, Vanderbilt. 13, Kentucky. 12, Auburn. 11, Missouri. 10, Florida. 9, the Gamecocks, South Carolina. I've got them at 9th in the SEC. 8, LSU. 7, Texas A&M. 6, Tennessee. 5, Alabama. 4, Ole Miss. 3, Oklahoma. 2, Georgia. 1, Texas. I think Texas gets it done this year by virtue of the improvement of Arch Manning through the end of last year. Colin Simmons being one of the 2 best defensive players, I think, in the SEC. And if Dylan Stewart is not healthy, Colin Simmons is the best defensive player in the SEC. The addition of 2,000-yard rushers and Cam Coleman makes that offense completely different. I'm still a believer in Sark's play-calling abilities, and it can't go on forever for Georgia. I trust Georgia significantly more than I would Texas, but I'm also going to operate on they can't keep doing this forever. Somebody will eventually get them. They got away with it last year at times. Georgia's still going to be really, really good, but I think it has to end eventually, and I want to be ahead of it, so I'll get Texas.
Two questions. Which team out of the bottom 5 could possibly jump into the top 10?
Ooh. Teams in the bottom 5 that could jump into the top 10. You know what? Give me Kentucky.
Okay. That's on the strength of Will Stein and his confidence.
In the run game. I think the one thing people don't talk about enough is that they can run the ball really well. If they can just get stops, I think they're not very well-rounded. I don't love that defensive unit. Ty Bryant did lead the SEC in interceptions last year, so maybe if you get some turnover luck, right, and Ty Bryant continues to force turnovers, then maybe you can see them surprise a lot of people. I love the run game. I think the run game. The ball. And Brent Key loves the run game.
Love it. Second question. Which team in the top 5 drops out of the top 5?
Ooh. I'm very high on Oklahoma. But if John Mateer keeps being interception happy, then yippee! Then they will drop out of the top 5. Now, the reason I have them 3 is because I'll operate on the assumption he gets a little bit better at that. And there is a sample size of quarterbacks in the SEC that were transfer players that are significantly better in year 2 than year 1. If they stay for multiple years, you see incredible growth in those quarterbacks. Not just the SEC, all of college football. If you remember the 2023 Heisman finalist list, it were all transfer quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, who were in year 2 at their new spot. And there was a big growth with all of them from year 1 to year 2. Assuming that even happens marginally for John Mateer, that is going to make that offense good enough to supplement that defense, which I think is probably the strongest top to bottom at all 3 levels in the Southeastern Conference. But if he's bad, if he's unhealthy and bad like he was in the second half of last year, they're going to underachieve. But that's the projected order of finish. I'm hoping I picked some winners correctly, but we'll give you our winners for today's show and all throughout SEC Media Days this week, coming up next. Can't do it.
I want winners. Winners.
And on a day where we give you the best and worst of SEC Media Days, we're going to have plenty of winners brought to you by the Golden Spur. But before we even get to the SEC Media Days stuff, Preston Thorne, uniform reveals. Winner.
Yeah, had the people fired up. Justin King went back into his bag, went to prime time, pulled out all of the old tricks, the stop, the slow motion, waving the flags, lighting, mist, everything you need for a good uniform reveal. And from what I've seen, because I'm not a person that's necessarily, I wouldn't trust my opinion on this necessarily, but from what I've seen, and I know our guy Tyler Head is a big uniform guy, so that might be the expert analysis you need to hear. People are pretty pleased.
From what I saw, they look really clean. But I'm one of those two. I need to see it on a football field first.
Okay, you need to see it on the field.
There have been some jerseys where I'm like, oh, that looks good. That
in
goes
concept,
hard.
but it doesn't necessarily work.
And then they go on a football field, and I've read a few New York Jets jerseys where I'm like, oh, you could pull that off. And then it's on a football field, and I'm like, that's actually really ugly, and I was wrong.
Well, again, one of our greatest attributes that even maybe if we happen to be mediocre, we still can look good because our colors bang.
And the combinations that
the combinations that we can pull off with our colors they're dope.
Who's on a better cinematic heater right now, Justin King or Christopher Nolan?
Some would say that Justin dropped a banger. I mean, it's just a throwback to some of his earlier work, and the people were clamoring, and he gave the people what they wanted.
He's so good. That guy is so good at what he does. Oh, man, I appreciate it. I almost want him to follow me around for a day and make a highlight reel of me doing the most mundane stuff. Walking to the fridge, opens up the fridge, and then it's going back to me taking a nap, and it's looking really cool.
Yeah, and
there's
there would be
this.
such special effects.
Some cool special effects, right?
Glow.
Elijah
Oh, yeah.
checks the mail. There's nothing there. And it looks really cool. That would be a winner. I'd be all for that. I might have to reach out and say, hey, what's your rate? Can I get a locals discount?
Just give me one day. Just follow me for a day.
Can you make the most boring stuff I do on a daily basis look really cool?
I give you this many monies.
Yeah, I have $5.
He's so good because, again, I've seen the horseshoe 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times even. And then I seen in that video yesterday, I was like, whoa.
Oh, that looks so cool.
Look at that place. That is crazy.
Why does it look cooler now? It's remarkable. The uniform reveals, especially when Justin's at the helm making it. Winner.
Yeah, it does, like I said, it seems like the consensus is that people are happy about it. So we'll see.
Another winner, Pete Golding's infinite wisdom. Because, Jen Jensen, what is the one thing that we learned about coaching today?
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
What if a Jen Jensen? It's on a hotkey. I see it already.
It's already
on a hotkey, baby.
That thing is going to put up Jim Brown numbers this season whenever we get to the grill segment. That is going to put up numbers.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Pete Golding because everybody was, and you can see this a lot in Kirby. Kirby does this a lot, but I would say right behind Kirby, Pete is ready to take the mantle of most entertaining head coach. So we are looking forward to many press conferences this year.
We already hashed out Pete Golding's press conference from this week. We've already played a lot of it and how goofy a lot of it was, to how goofy he is. Do you think Kirby Smart stays awake at night thinking, I lost to that guy with a college football playoff semifinal on the line? Do you think that makes that loss even worse? Kirby's such a competitor that any playoff loss is going to eat at him. But if you look at the 2 playoff losses he's had the last 2 years, and you can look at Marcus Freeman and say, that handsome dude just wore us out, nothing we can do, it's an honor to lose to Marcus Freeman. And then he looks at Pete Golding and goes, I lost to that guy? That guy knocked me out of a college football playoff? That has to kill him.
I will say, Pete Golding, good hair.
Silver fox.
Great hair. And then there are some pictures earlier. It gets long and curly.
It's he's got the waves to it too.
Good hair.
So now he needs Lane Kiffin's tan.
Yeah, he does.
Winner, spray tan for Lane.
Then he'll never beat the Southeastern Matthew McConaughey accusations. He would never at that point.
Oh, no.
Just worse. If Matthew McConaughey was born in the original SEC footprint, he sounds like Pete Golding.
I like it.
I think that's reasonable.
You're going to get fired.
You're going to get fired. One more time, Jen.
Just for the giggles.
In this profession, you're going to get fired.
He doesn't even finish the word fired. Pete, am I going to get fired or will I be part of a fire, right?
You going to get fired.
You can get fired. I love that guy. I love it. I can't help it. And I hope he's there for more than the 3 years than I kind of hypothesized. I hope you're here for a good time and a long time, Pete, but I don't know.
It'll be a good time.
I don't know.
I don't know if it'll be a long time.
Now, the cut's too long for us to play again, but another winner, Will Stein's confidence. Why does he think Kentucky's going to get to winning big? Not back to winning big. Get into winning big. He says, because of me. Look at me. I am the head coach now. I love it. That is a necessity of what you absolutely have to be able to make it in the Southeastern Conference. That was our best and worst of SEC Media Days. Thanks to all of our sponsors this week: AAA Heating and Air, Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, Wesco Brew and Bowl, Atkins Law, SC Lumber, Louisiana Purchase, Little Pigs, Architect, and the Gutterman. They're winners. Tyler Head's a winner, and he's next.